Eastern European stereotypes explained by living ironically in Europe.
Eastern Europe.
Is that Hungarian?
A magical place where dreams, hopes, and aspirations go to die, and ugly British men go to get laid. Its exact location is a bit controversial, as everyone from this group copes and pleads
explaining how they
are
aren't Eastern
Central
Europeans.
Europe. But we all know everything east of Vienna is Russia in denial. Despite this, even though Eastern Europe has played a crucial role in educating the masses on how not to organize their economies, very few people know the accurate stereotypes from the region, and very often resort to depicting everyone and anyone from this region as Russians with slightly different variations. So, to correct this mistake, here are Eastern European stereotypes
that's Hungary,
explained.
Yeah. That view was from Hungary, yeah. Hungary, we're starting with the best one. There you go, let's go.
That constantly seems to stir the pot in Europe, then that is none other than Hungary. Throughout Europe, Hungary as a country tends to have a reputation as a troublemaker when it comes to everything and anything political. The EU is voting to pass a new law that criminalizes chucking cats off bridges into a river. Well, guess who's gonna veto that one? Who else but Hungary?
That's an extreme example, but I'm pretty sure it would still happen. Oh, there's anything here for YouTube videos? Oh no, who have we ever seen that does that?
As a people, though, the Hungarians are usually stereotyped as being quite cold, reserved, apprehensive, and don't like to venture out of their own circle.
There is, and Dunkel knows this very well, there is a saying in Hungary, which is one of the very few things that I genuinely dislike about this place, but I understand why it's there. There is a saying that is like one of those things that every Hungarian knows. Dunkel knows which one I'm talking about. Which is basically, the neighbor's horse should die too. It is a very common Hungarian idiom, I think this would be. Very common saying. So yes, the Hungarians are very cold in that sense.
Of their own circle. Throughout the Balkans, they're not the most well known for being able to speak a different language other than Hungarian, because of which everyone and anyone makes fun of them for it. Alongside this, the Hungarians are renowned for their pessimism. No matter how good things are going, how nice something is, Hungarians will always find a reason to think it's not going to last and everything will collapse into
That's no reason to be grateful, eh, Dunkel? Having a good life is no reason to be grateful. It's no excuse to be grateful.
Misery and suffering. Sort of like my last relationship. This is so prevalent throughout the Hungarian psyche that there is even a saying about this in Hungarian. Sírva vigod magyar, which roughly translates to, the Hungarian is jolly while crying.
Yes.
Essentially, they're like a bunch of emos who instead of dressing in all black and having a questionable hairstyle, have to stick sour cream in everything they eat and speaking a language of the Martians from Mars Attacks.
Oh my fucking god, Hungary is the emo country. Hungarians are the real emo. Like, down in your heart, you all are the real emo. Holy fuck, dude, I never thought of it that way. Everything makes so much sense now. Everything makes so much sense. I didn't think about it. I didn't think about it that way. Not, oh my god, yeah, it all makes, it's so much sense. My country's all there, but say Lithuanians.
If you've ever seen a man on a hot summer day strutting down the city, rocking the renowned socks and sandals combo, alongside with a white wife-beater and a mullet, then my friend, you've encountered a Czech. Throughout the Slavic world, the Czechs are seen as the most composed of the bunch, except for maybe the Slovenians. But we all know what goes on there, so we don't count them. While other Slavs love to spend their time in bars and pubs, drinking the most disgusting, revolting, gag reflex-inducing brandy or vodka their grandpa personally spent their weekend brewing and ended up making in a tub, whose fumes blinded the entire village for 5 days.
Drma, to je domaća, majku ti jebem.
Kad sam je peklo cijela ulica
halucinirala 3 dana od isparenja. 40 ljudi prijavilo policiji da je vidjelo boginju Šivu.
The Czechs instead like to drink good old beer.
I have a German accent, and so of course I love beer.
Living in such close proximity to the Germans made them stereotyped as the most functional among the Slavs, and the most stuck up as well. Many even just like to call them Slavic-speaking Germans. And if you're ever in Czechia, don't shy away from saying this to the locals. They'll absolutely adore you for it.
Nice. Poland!
The Czechs are the Slavs who have their shit the most together, then the Poles would be the most unhinged.
Poland is the Florida and Texas of Europe combined. That German sequence was so true, at least in certain parts of Germany. There you go.
Well, in the US, Poles are usually stereotyped as being slow and not having the best of brain function. In Europe, they are stereotyped as the most hyperactive, high-energy spastics in existence.
Okay, but have you considered that both could be true? Okay, it's not wrong. There you go. Have you considered that both could be true? It's all just a matter of perspective. So this is more about Europe than it does about Poland. 100% accurate for Poland, Texas, and Florida combined. We need Jeppy here to confirm.
Every time you log on the internet and find some bizarre fever dream-esque clip on it, such as a homeless guy being spray-painted silver, a guy screaming at some poor lost animal in the city, or just simply annoying the tram driver. You just know it originated from Poland.
There you go.
Besides operating on another plane of existence, the Poles are also stereotyped as being extremely religious. Today, the country is one of the most Catholic countries in the world, and by far in Europe. As a result, the Poles tend to take Catholicism quite seriously. This essentially originates from Poland being constantly invaded, annexed, and divided amongst its neighbors. As such, the church was the mainstay of Polish language, tradition, heritage, culture, and literature. Because of this, the church came to play a big part of life for Poles, and as a result, helped in the creation of this stereotype.
And JP II being for this shit. Latvians, when I opened the Baltics.
Now, you think that a group of countries that is located this far east on the continent would accept that they are Eastern Europe, but no, we're not Eastern Europe, we're Northern Europe, we're Nordic, bro, please. But regardless of what their European pronouns are, one thing is for certain. Their food is...
Their European pronouns! Holy fuck, it's too accurate! Oh my god, please tell me Estonia's here.
But regardless of what their European pronouns are, one thing is for certain. Their food is a cardinal sin against humanity and everything good and holy. If you want your plate to look like something that came out from the chum bucket, the Baltic cuisine is the food for you. As a whole, the people are also known as professional Russia haters. Pray to God that if you ever enter in a competition on hating Russia, that your opponent isn't an Estonian. But considering the Russians more or less try to wipe their entire culture and people off the face of the earth, it's kind of expected. Next up, we have Moldova. Now, if you ever seen someone online describe themselves as Balkan/Eastern European and create content about that region without ever specifying from what country they're from exactly, then my friend, you've stumbled upon a Moldovan. Essentially, Moldovans are stereotyped as basically Russified Romanians. Although they might speak Romanian, have the same culture as Romanians, and share the same genes as Romanians, if you're Romanian, good luck trying to decipher anything someone with a Chisinau accent said. They're also known as the world's biggest drinkers as well, and to be fair, if most of your country looked like an endless doomer montage, you drink too. It also doesn't help that they are some of the best makers of wine, for which they were known throughout the Soviet Union.
Well, yeah, if you're gonna drink, you might as well make it good. And if you have nothing else in your life, you might as well. So that makes complete sense. Yeah, it adds up. Ukraine.
Depending on whether you're a batshit insane liberal or a completely demented conservative, you either think that the Ukrainians are the most perfect heroic heroes that are fighting to keep our democratic freedoms, and if you so much as say anything slightly critical of the country, you are a piece of shit Vatnik that should go and lick the dirt off of Putin's boots and die, or that they're the most corrupt Nazi sympathizers in the world, that the global elite, consisting of Klaus Schwab, Biden, Ursula von der Leyen, and Taylor Swift, is using as their pawns in an effort to achieve complete and utter world domination. And Zelensky himself is actually a shape-shifting fascist lizard man who eats US gold reserves for breakfast.
That's quite the diet. Okay, I have something. So, when the war in Ukraine started, a bunch of money service businesses decided, companies like PayPal and the like, decided to lower their standards for Ukrainians so that people could open accounts in Ukraine and move money around. The downside is, Ukraine is, before the war started, Ukraine was the second largest money laundering hub in the European region, including, the not just continental, but the whole European area, Eurasia, so to speak. In some senses, being larger even than the United States of America and Mexico when it comes to money laundering. And then they removed a bunch of verification procedures when the war started. Every single one of these companies had to roll all of this back and walk all of this back within like 2 weeks of the war starting, because so much money was there was so much fraud, money laundering, all sorts of financial crimes that happened within a 2-week period in Ukraine just because of that. Ukraine is second. You can't beat London when it comes to money laundering in Europe. Yep. Which is my conspiracy theory, by the way. My conspiracy theory as to why the UK had been fighting so hard for the Ukrainians to stay in the war is because now London doesn't have competition. And it's all like, because before that it was Ukraine. Ukraine was like, you could launder your money in Europe either in London or in Ukraine. Those were like the two biggest hubs. Ukraine has been at war. You can't really launder money through there anymore, so everyone just goes to London. So I think that's my conspiracy theory. I have no evidence for this at all. I just think that's what the Brits want. Because, wherever the money gets laundered, the government takes a cut from it. So, have a good beer and wine in Germany, there you go. So, there you go. A little bit of lore. So, neither of these. But, yeah, Ukraine, yeah, they're fighting because their country got fucking invaded. And they're still one of the most corrupt nations in the entire world. Those two things can be true.
However, if you haven't been lobotomized and take modern political discussion out of the equation, Ukrainians are generally stereotyped as everyone else in Eastern Europe, being cold, living in grey Minecraft blocks, and eating everything and anything that's been stuffed in a barrel with vinegar for half of the year. Amongst the Western world, their women are known for their beauty and charm, therefore the country is a cesspool of wannabe alpha male passport bros that make YouTube videos on how to pick up a trad wife Ukrainian girl, and not one of those icky, stinky, dinky American girls that only know how to charge their phone, twerk, be bisexual, eat hot chip, and lie.
I don't want to say it. I don't want to say it. I don't want to say it. Uncle, stop me from saying it, please. Please stop me from saying it. Why you gonna do Queenie like that, bro? I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I couldn't resist. I couldn't resist. Okay, but to be fair, most... I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Oh, she's adorable, dude. She is our dearest ray of sunshine. She's my beloved, dude. We all love Queenie over here, dude. She's our favorite little bundle of anxiety. Oh, God. Okay, my point was, to be fair, most Eastern European women in general they're just unbelievably beautiful. Like, I have yet to meet a ethnic Hungarian woman, like ethnically, like 100% Hungarian woman that is not at the very least beautiful. And I think that is a pattern that can be observed throughout Eastern Europe. So yeah, he's highlighting Ukraine because I think that's where it's the most pronounced, but it's true. New blackmail hired. Fuck you. Don't tell me you didn't think it too. Oh, you're gonna say on chat, no, I didn't. You know I didn't. And then you're gonna show up tomorrow on my doorstep with a couple of fucking steaks, and you're gonna say that, yeah.
Apparently, they also eat a lot of pig lard and
genuinely
borscht.
didn't.
Once again,
you see?
I would like to make this very
oh god,
clear.
the big one.
I am gay.
In the past, your average Russian was stereotyped as a cold, goofy man with a thick accent that does stupid shit in the tundra, such as wrestling a bear, driving like a fucking idiot, drink copious amounts of vodka, and pass out in the most random of places. However, ever since Putin just had to go and conquer more territory because God knows Russia being the largest country by landmass doesn't have enough of it, the Russians have started to be stereotyped as essentially an incompetent fire nation that can't even conquer the Southern Water Tribe, let alone bossing say.
Isn't Canada bigger than Russia, landmass-wise? Or is it area-wise that Canada is bigger than Russia? I think it's just area-wise, right? I remember. Russia is bigger. I remember thinking that for a long time, and then a bunch of my friends were like, oh, no, it's Canada. And then they showed me maps with, like, area size and everything. Oh, shit.
Brain-dead liberals stereotype them as the second coming of the Huns and as the scourge of the earth,
largest in the world.
Cognitively inhibited conservatives perceive them as some conservative value-fighting crusaders who are here to free the world from wokeism and slay the evil stinkman Zelensky, who has almost sucked the entire Federal Reserve dry. At the end of the day, if you have a pulse, you probably
Russia
have
is
your
the
own
largest in the world.
stereotype about these
Misconception
guys.
taken away then.
And yeah, those would be some of the more popular stereotypes about these countries. If you enjoyed this video, as always, give it a like and smash that subscribe button. And if you really enjoyed it, become a member like these wonderful people. My name is Janos, and you've watched Living Ironically in Europe.
Okay, he's Hungarian. I love that Janos is Hungarian for James. So there you go. We have James Europe over here with Eastern European stereotypes explained. I love the whole Russian thing. Like, it can be both. It can be both. I love that. I love his mention of the second coming of the Huns. That's not true. The second coming of the Huns was the Mongols. And the problem with the Huns and the Mongols is that they could take over land. They couldn't take over land for very long. So he's not Hungarian. He's Serbian. He just has a Hungarian name. Oh, okay. Still, there you go. Oh man, that was really funny. That was really funny. Very accurate though. But why do they have to have the Italian Bella Ciao at the end though? Why? Anyway, good stuff.